Hello, welcome. In this video, I'm going to review Preply, but also give advice on how to use the platform, get the most out of it, and make sure you choose the right teacher. The platform is great overall, but a bit inflexible in parts, so I'll tell you how to make it work best for you. First, who am I? I'm a qualified teacher of English as a foreign language, and I've been developing language learning apps and websites for more than 15 years. I run the app Spoken, which is an app where intermediate Spanish and English learners can practice speaking and listening. I've been speaking Spanish for more than 20 years. So let's talk Preply. I got some free credits for Preply, so I decided to use them to take Arabic lessons, specifically Lebanese Arabic. I've learned Arabic before years ago, but I wanted to revise and get more confident speaking. When you first view the list of available tutors, it can feel a bit overwhelming because there are so many to choose from. But filtering by country is a good place to start if that applies to your language. Think about where you're going to use the language. For me, I have a very specific interest in teachers from Lebanon. I also filtered by price. My tip for you here is if you can already speak the language and you just want conversation, you can set your price a bit lower. But I need some properly structured lessons in Arabic from someone who knows how to teach. So I'm going to set the price a bit higher. You can look for the professional badge to know if a teacher is qualified. After that, I started watching videos. This is the best way to get an idea of what a teacher's like. I shortlisted any that I liked using the heart button, and when I'd shortlisted about 4 of them, I then read their reviews. I found that the reviews mainly focused on teachers' personalities rather than their teaching abilities, so were not incredibly helpful. I think that may be because the typical student perhaps doesn't know exactly what makes a good language lesson. I'll say more about that in a minute. But when you've chosen one, then you get to do a trial lesson with that teacher. And what should you look for in your trial lesson to know if the teacher is good? Now, just because a teacher is nice and friendly doesn't mean they're necessarily good at teaching. They need to structure the lessons well. So present some new language, then give you a way to practice it. Now I'll give you some useful advice for after you've done your trial lesson, because the platform is a bit inflexible. So I did a trial lesson with one teacher, and I wasn't totally sure about her, but I thought I'd do another one with her. But after a trial lesson, you have to subscribe and commit to at least 4 lessons, and you're subscribing to that particular teacher, not the Preply platform as a whole. So after another lesson with this teacher, I still felt that I could find someone better. I felt the lesson had been a bit unstructured and unfocused. I think if you're not totally sure about a teacher, do a trial with a different teacher, because it's quite confusing and difficult to temporarily switch to a new tutor once you subscribe to one. Also, it was a bit awkward for me when I had to unsubscribe from the first teacher because it notifies them, and I felt I had to explain why, especially as she was such a lovely person. I think trial lessons typically end up being only a general chat about your needs, which is a shame because you don't necessarily get to see the teaching style. I'd prefer if you could do a second lesson without commitment to get a better sense of the teacher, or even better, if the teacher could do more of a proper lesson in the trial. So I've now done, I think, about 6 Arabic lessons on Preply, and I plan to continue. One thing I like about live lessons with a tutor compared to an app or an audio course or a group class is that you can go at the perfect pace for you. I'm naturally quite fast at learning a language, so I find some courses too slow and repetitive. So I like that we can move at a fast pace in my Preply lessons. Okay, so if you just want an occasional random conversation or lesson, then Preply probably isn't the right platform for you, because you do have to subscribe and pay for at least 4 lessons per month and then use the lessons within the month. You can't carry them over to the next month. But if you're serious about learning or practicing, then I actually think it's great to force yourself to commit to at least 4 lessons a month, because this is definitely the best way to make real progress. And finally, something else that's worth me saying. As I'm sure you know, these days there are a lot of apps where you can have conversations with AI. And you might be wondering if that's a good substitute for lessons with a teacher on a platform like Preply. So I've done a lot of research into chatbots for language learning. I'll link one of my videos about it. And I feel they're definitely not a good alternative for learning as a beginner or at lower levels. Those chatbots give you conversation practice, but they don't give you lessons. There's a big difference. Lessons follow a particular format of presenting new language and then having you practice it. And then each lesson should be structured within a course to build what you learnt in the last lessons. I haven't yet seen a chatbot that does that. Chatbots are a lot more random, and their explanations about grammar can be wordy and complicated and sometimes inaccurate. If you're a higher level and you just want conversation, chatbots might sometimes be a substitute for a conversation on Preply, but AI conversations can sometimes be very dry and there's not much laughter in them. Also, I think it's helpful to listen to real human voices, because that's what you'll hear in the real world, and AI voices can sometimes be a bit too easy to understand. So that's it. If you have any other questions about my experience using Preply, you can write a comment. Also, I have a lot of other videos where I review language learning apps and give tips about language learning, so you should definitely take a look at some of those too.